Not just a victory for these women, it's also a validation. They know they are no less than men, and today they've been told that if men can continue to serve till the age of 54, there's absolutely no reason for them to be thrown out after 14 long years of service. In New Delhi, Neha Khanna for NDTV.
And NDTV's Neha Khanna spoke to Gopal Subramaniam, the Solicitor General of India, for his views on today's judgment.
The Delhi High Court has today delivered a landmark judgment, and to talk about that, we are now joined by the man who represented the centre in court, Solicitor General of India, Mr. Gopal Subramaniam. Sir, thank you so much for talking to us at a time when we know you're busy with your daughter's wedding. But sir, if I could first ask you for your reaction to the court's verdict.
We have an executive decision which has offered permanent commission, but that was given prospectively. Now, the court has said that it must be given retrospective effect. Whether a court can really treat an executive instruction as if it should be one which should be brought into force with retrospective effect, or the lack of retrospectivity having vitiated an executive decision, is open to some degree of reflection and may have to be legally examined whether that's a correct legal premise. A judgment such as this may be amenable to appeal, but whether it is wise to appeal, whether there are sufficient policy considerations to pursue by way of an appeal, will clearly require internal reflection at the hands of the government.
For more on that, we're being joined right here in the studio by Wing Commander Smriti Sharma. Thank you so much for joining us to bring your perspective. We're also being joined by Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad, former Director General of the Infantry in the Indian Army. If I can just come to you first. What exactly does this mean in practical terms for all the hundreds and thousands of women who will be serving in the armed forces?
All will be very happy, because it's such a wonderful organization, and I don't see any reason as to why we were not given the permanent option for the permanent commission so far. And hopefully with this particular decision today, all the lady officers who would be joining Air Force or Army for that matter, or the lady officers like us who are already finished 15 years of service and are retired, may also be benefited by the decision. So we are really happy, and we would look forward to again wear the uniform.
Do you think the fact that you could not have got permanent status earlier, did that prevent many women from thinking about the armed forces as a career option?
Yes, it really affects because after 15 years or after 5 years or 10 years of service, you got to think what next. And like in our case, particularly after 15 years, wherever we are going, we again have to prove ourselves as ab initio. Or right from the beginning, you have to again start in the new organization, establish yourself, and again do the same thing. The question is why? As we have proved ourselves already in one organization, wherein we have not got anything, just we would say thank you.
After 15 years, you just had to move on and start all over again, and you're saying that used to be really unfair.
That's right.
It's
not easy.
Yeah,
it's not easy, I can tell you.
General Prasad, what do you think? I think it's going to make a major difference in the number of women who are going to be seeing possible careers in the army. How do you react to this?
But the important point is that I don't think it's still correct to induct women officers as regular commissioned officers into the combat arms, such as the infantry and the armored corps in the army, as perhaps such as the fighter aeroplanes in the Air Force, and maybe the submarines in the Navy. So there are certain branches of the armed forces which I still don't think should be open to women officers, whether it's short service or as a permanent commission. But there are many branches in all the three services where this facility could be available, should be available, there's nothing wrong with it. And if they perform equally well, they should be able to get to the highest position in that particular field.
So you're saying that while the agreement might be fine, I mean, there are some countries, I know there are not too many, but there are some countries which do allow women to serve even in combat. You're saying that should not be permitted in India, women should not go actually into combat?
Well, no. I think it's very loosely used term that in many other countries it's allowed. The country which started giving commission to the lady officers was perhaps Israel the first. And it has not been a very successful experience. Even in the United States, you often read in the media that women officers and permanent commission have varieties of problems. So, and those are much different societies than ours. I don't think we are yet ready for combat arm commissioned officers. What could be done if one wants to try it as an experiment is to create one full-fledged battalion of women, which means that soldiers upwards right to the commanding officer, and gradually in a phased manner we could consider this. But what kind of roles will be assigned to it? Will be more like police Mahila battalions. So really I don't think the situation is yet right for inducting women officers into the combat arms as a full-fledged career.
All right, General Prashad, thanks for joining us with that perspective, ma'am. Obviously, this is something which is being discussed even today in places like the United States, where there have been lots of reports of abuse that have happened, for some of the women, certainly in Iraq, for example. Would you agree with him that women should be allowed to make this a career, but within certain areas, and they should not go into combat roles?
Yeah, as it is, even the other male counterpart, not all of them are in the combat forces. And so is the case with us. We are not saying that initially you start giving us, starting from the combat forces, you try in the other ground services wherein we are not actually in the combat forces, we are in the support services. So what's stopped them giving us permanent commission in those fields? Like in the engineering, logistics, medical, there are so many branches. So, there are options available. They should, it's a matter of giving chance to all the radio officers.
Step towards equality. We've been hearing about the Women's Reservation Bill, another step towards equality. Thank you so much for joining us with that perspective. Thanks a lot, ma'am.